My beloved child, pause for a moment. Something just shifted in the unseen space around you. A quiet decision has been made, and its ripple is moving toward your life right now. It happened recently, so recently that the echo of it is still fresh. Half an hour ago, your special person reached a moment they could no longer ignore. A realization finally settled in their heart like the calm after a long storm. And even though you may be going about your day, unaware, a door somewhere quietly closed. And another one began to open. For a long time, there has been an invisible tension between what was comfortable and what was true. You may have sensed it before without fully understanding why. Perhaps there were moments when your intuition whispered that something behind the scenes was slowly changing. That feeling was not random. It was a quiet signal that a chapter in someone's life was nearing its final page. Now, in a moment that arrived without announcement, that page has finally turned. Picture the stillness of a room where someone sits alone, thinking deeply. The air feels heavier than usual, not with sadness, but with clarity. Your special person reached that kind of moment. They reflected on the path they had been walking, the connections they were holding onto, and the direction their heart was trying to guide them. What once felt complicated suddenly became simple. Sometimes, the heart waits patiently for the mind to catch up, and today, it did. There was no dramatic scene, no loud announcement. Just a quiet but powerful decision. Your special person chose to release a connection that no longer felt aligned with the future they truly want. It was not done out of anger or bitterness. It was done out of honesty. And honesty, even when quiet, can change everything. This moment might seem small from the outside. But inside their world, it feels like the first deep breath after holding it for too long. For weeks, perhaps even months. They carried questions that had no clear answers. Should they continue pretending everything was fine? Should they keep holding on to something that felt uncertain? These questions followed them like shadows. But today, the fog lifted. And here is where the story begins to intertwine with you. Because when they finally looked ahead, imagining the life they truly wanted, one thought kept returning, again and again. Not as a loud voice, but as a gentle certainty that refused to disappear. The thought of you. Don't skip this moment. Stay till the end, because what is unfolding here is more than coincidence. Something huge is waiting for you to understand. Your special person has been watching their own feelings evolve in ways they never expected. At first, they tried to ignore it. Life felt simpler when everything stayed predictable. But emotions have a quiet persistence. The more they tried to dismiss those feelings, the clearer they became. Like a distant light that slowly grows brighter, your presence in their thoughts became impossible to overlook. Earlier today, before that final decision was made, there was a moment when they paused and asked themselves a question they had avoided for too long. What kind of future do I truly want? The answer didn't arrive instantly. It unfolded slowly, like a sunrise that gently replaces the darkness. In that unfolding realization, they saw something important. A life built on honesty. A connection that feels natural rather than forced. A bond where both people can grow without pretending to be someone they are not. And that realization made one truth impossible to ignore: the connection they had been holding on to no longer reflected the future they wanted. So they stepped away. Quietly. Respectfully. With clarity. Half an hour ago, that step became real. The strange thing about turning points is that they rarely announce themselves with loud music or dramatic signals. Often they appear in simple moments that feel almost ordinary. A conversation ends. A message is sent. A thought settles firmly in the heart. Yet those small moments can redirect an entire life. Your special person feels that shift right now. Even though everything around them looks the same, internally something feels lighter. As if a weight they carried for too long has gently been lifted. And in that lightness, new possibilities are beginning to appear. Stay a little longer, because this is where the story becomes even more meaningful. When someone releases what no longer fits their path, the universe doesn't leave the empty space untouched. That space becomes an invitation for something better to enter. Your special person may not fully understand it yet, but their heart is already moving toward the future they were meant to experience. And strangely enough, your energy is part of that future. Think back to the moments when you felt an unusual pull toward someone without a clear explanation. Maybe there were times when their name appeared in your mind unexpectedly. Maybe certain memories surfaced at random moments. These experiences often feel mysterious, but they are simply signs of two journeys slowly aligning. Right now, their journey is taking a decisive turn. Not out of impulse. Not out of pressure. But out of clarity. Clarity is powerful because it removes the confusion that once clouded every decision. When clarity arrives, choices become easier. The heart knows where it wants to go, even if the road ahead is still unfolding. Your special person is standing at that exact point. Half an hour ago, they closed one chapter. Not with regret, but with calm acceptance that it was time to move forward. And the moment that chapter closed, another thought quietly emerged. What if the future holds something more meaningful than what they left behind? What if the connection they have been sensing, the one that feels natural and genuine, is worth exploring? That thought is still new in their mind. They haven't spoken it aloud yet. They may not even fully understand why it feels so significant. But the seed of that idea has been planted. And seeds have a remarkable way of growing. You might not see the results immediately. Life often works behind the scenes before anything becomes visible. But something has begun today that will slowly reveal itself in the coming moments. So take a breath and stay present here. Because what happened half an hour ago was not just the ending of a connection. It was the quiet beginning of a new possibility. And the next part of this story will reveal why that possibility is far more important than either of you realize right now. A quiet shift is still unfolding in the background, and if you listen closely, you can almost feel it moving through the unseen layers of this moment. Something subtle yet powerful has begun, and the decision your special person made earlier is only the first step in a much larger story that is still revealing itself. When someone finally releases a connection that no longer feels true, the heart doesn't instantly rush forward. Instead, there is often a period of reflection, a space where thoughts settle and emotions reorganize themselves. Right now, your special person is moving through that exact space. Their mind is calmer than it has been in a long time, yet there is also a quiet curiosity growing within them. It feels similar to standing at the edge of a new path after leaving behind an old road. The direction ahead is not completely clear yet, but something inside them is certain that continuing forward is the right choice. Earlier, before this shift happened, your special person spent a lot of time questioning themselves. They wondered if they were imagining things, if the inner voice guiding them was simply temporary emotion. But the more they paid attention, the more they realized that the feeling was steady, not fleeting. Some realizations arrive slowly. They build quietly over time until one day they become impossible to ignore. And that day was today. Stay with this moment, because what follows next is where the deeper meaning begins to appear. After making that decision, your special person did something many people don't talk about. They paused. Not to celebrate, not to regret, but to listen to their own thoughts. It was a moment of stillness where the world seemed slightly quieter than usual. In that silence, they noticed something surprising. Instead of feeling uncertain, they felt relief. Not the loud kind of relief that demands attention, but a gentle sense of peace that spread through their mind. It was the kind of peace that comes when someone finally stops resisting what their heart has been trying to say. And with that peace came a new awareness. The future they once imagined has changed. Before today, their vision of tomorrow was clouded by compromises and doubts. They were trying to hold on to something that didn't fully match the life they hoped to build. But now that they have stepped away from that situation, the future suddenly feels more open. More honest. More real. Don't skip this part. Stay till the end of this message, because something huge is waiting for you in the meaning behind this shift. As the evening continues to unfold, your special person keeps returning to the same thought again and again. It appears quietly, like a gentle reminder that refuses to disappear. The thought of you. They may not fully understand why your presence feels significant, but there is something about the connection they feel toward you that stands apart from everything else. It doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel confusing. It feels natural. And sometimes the most powerful connections are the ones that feel natural from the very beginning. Earlier today, while reflecting on everything that has been happening in their life, they remembered moments involving you that once seemed small but now feel important. Maybe it was a conversation that left them thinking longer than expected. Maybe it was the way you understood something about them without needing a long explanation. Or maybe it was simply the calm feeling they experienced when you were present. These memories began to surface in their mind, one after another, like pieces of a puzzle that suddenly start fitting together. Something about you represents the kind of connection they now realize they want in their future. A connection built on sincerity. A connection where two people can grow without pretending. A connection where understanding flows naturally rather than needing to be constantly explained. For a long time, they didn't allow themselves to explore that idea fully. Life was complicated, and there were responsibilities and expectations influencing every decision. But now that one chapter has closed, the space for new possibilities has appeared. And possibilities have a quiet way of expanding when they are given room to breathe. You might not see the changes immediately. From the outside, everything may appear the same as yesterday. But inside your special person's world, something important has shifted. Their priorities are changing. The kind of connection they want is becoming clearer. And slowly, the path they once felt uncertain about is beginning to take shape. This doesn't mean everything will happen overnight. Meaningful changes rarely unfold that quickly. Instead, they develop step by step, guided by the small realizations that appear along the way. But what matters most is that the first step has already happened. Half an hour ago, a decision was made. A connection that no longer aligned with their heart was respectfully released. And in that moment, the future quietly rearranged itself. Stay a little longer here, because there is something else that is just beginning to surface in their thoughts. Since making that choice, your special person has started noticing something unusual. Their mind keeps returning to the same question. What if the connection they feel toward you isn't random? What if it has been quietly growing for a reason? At first, they tried to dismiss the idea. After all, life can be unpredictable, and emotions can sometimes feel confusing. But the more they think about it, the more the idea begins to make sense. Every meaningful relationship begins with a moment when two paths start to move toward each other. Sometimes that moment happens quietly, without either person realizing how important it will become. Your story with this person may be standing at that exact kind of moment. The ending of one chapter often marks the beginning of another. And right now, your special person is standing at the doorway between those chapters. They haven't taken the next step yet, but the possibility is now visible to them in a way it never was before. Something about the connection they feel toward you carries a sense of authenticity that they cannot ignore. It feels calm. It feels genuine. It feels like something worth exploring. And as the hours pass, that realization will continue to grow stronger. Because when someone finally listens to their heart with honesty, the direction it points toward becomes clearer with each passing moment. So remain patient with this unfolding story. Because what happened earlier was not simply the ending of a relationship that no longer worked. It was the beginning of a new understanding inside your special person's heart. An understanding that something meaningful may already be closer than they once believed. And in the next part of this story, something even more surprising will begin to reveal itself, a realization your special person is only just starting to recognize, but one that could change the direction of both of your lives in ways neither of you expected. Something else is beginning to surface now. A realization that didn't arrive all at once, but is slowly rising in your special person's awareness like the first light of morning. Moments after their decision earlier, they thought the story had reached its turning point. Yet as time passes, they are beginning to understand that the true turning point might actually be just beginning. Right now, your special person is moving through a quiet phase of reflection. When someone closes a chapter of their life, there is always a moment where they pause and look back, not with regret, but with understanding. They are asking themselves gentle questions about everything that led to this moment. Why did certain connections stay longer than they should have? Why did some feelings remain hidden for so long? And most importantly, what direction does their heart truly want to follow from here? These questions are not heavy or troubling. In fact, they are surprisingly calm. For the first time in a long while, your special person feels like they are seeing their life clearly. The noise that once surrounded their thoughts has faded. In its place, there is a steady clarity that feels both peaceful and exciting. Stay here for a moment. Don't skip ahead in your thoughts, because something meaningful is unfolding in this very realization. Earlier today, when they made that decision to end a connection that no longer felt right, they believed the most difficult part would be letting go. But something unexpected happened. Instead of feeling uncertainty, they felt space. Space in their mind. Space in their heart. Space where new possibilities could finally exist. And that space is beginning to fill with a new kind of awareness. It's an awareness that has been quietly growing for some time, even before today's decision. But now that their mind is free from the tension of holding onto something that didn't feel aligned, that awareness has become impossible to ignore. The awareness is about you. Your presence in their life has never felt ordinary. Even when the connection between you seemed casual or simple on the surface, something deeper was quietly forming underneath. Your special person has felt it in subtle ways. Moments when your words stayed in their mind longer than expected, moments when your perspective made them pause and think, moments when your energy brought a sense of calm they didn't even realize they needed. At first, they brushed those moments aside. Life was already complicated, and acknowledging those feelings felt like opening a door they were not ready to walk through. But now, that door is no longer hidden. Now it is standing right in front of them. And they are beginning to notice how different everything feels when they imagine their future without the weight of their past connections holding them back. Your special person is starting to ask themselves something new. What if the connection they feel toward you was never meant to remain unnoticed? What if the quiet understanding between you was always meant to grow into something deeper over time? These questions are not rushing through their mind like a storm. They are arriving gently, one thought at a time. But each thought carries a sense of truth that feels difficult to deny. Sometimes the most powerful connections are the ones that grow quietly while life is busy moving in other directions. They don't demand attention immediately. Instead, they wait patiently until the moment when both people are ready to truly see them. Your special person may be reaching that moment right now. Stay till the end of this message, because something huge is waiting for you within the meaning of this realization. As they reflect on everything that has happened today, they are beginning to notice how often their thoughts return to you. It is not forced. It simply happens naturally. While thinking about the kind of life they want to build moving forward, your presence keeps appearing in their mind like a steady light guiding their thoughts. They remember the comfort of your conversations. They remember the sincerity in the way you express yourself. They remember the feeling that being around you doesn't require effort or performance, it simply feels real. That kind of connection is rare. And now that they have stepped away from something that felt uncertain, the contrast between the past and what they feel when they think about you has become much clearer. It feels like comparing noise with silence. One was confusing and difficult to understand. The other feels calm, steady, and meaningful. Right now, your special person may not be speaking these thoughts out loud. They are still processing everything internally. When someone experiences a moment of clarity like this, it often takes time for them to fully accept what their heart is showing them. But the seed of that understanding has already been planted. And seeds, once planted, have a natural way of growing stronger with time. You might not see immediate changes tomorrow or the day after. But something inside your special person has begun shifting in a direction that leads toward authenticity. They no longer want connections that require pretending. They no longer want relationships that feel uncertain or unbalanced. What they want now is something genuine. Something that feels calm and meaningful at the same time. And as they picture that kind of future in their mind, they notice something remarkable. Your presence fits naturally into that vision. Not as a passing thought, but as a possibility that feels surprisingly real. This realization may still feel new to them, but it is gaining strength with every passing hour. Because when someone finally listens to their heart without distraction, the truth it reveals becomes clearer and clearer. Your special person is beginning to see that the connection between you may hold a deeper significance than they once realized. It may represent the kind of bond they have been hoping to find all along. A bond built on honesty. A bond built on understanding. A bond where two people grow side by side without losing themselves. Something huge is waiting for you within this unfolding story, even if it hasn't fully revealed itself yet. And in the next part of this journey, your special person will begin to notice something even more surprising. A realization that might explain why the thought of you keeps returning to their mind no matter how much they try to focus on other things.